Meeting Fred was a moment, but he
Yes.
definitely got like Godfather energy.
You know, okay, so that's funny that you say that. Like, he invited me to his house. I come into his house, and it was like Godfather, because he was sitting in this.
Ruslan.
So before we get into worship and all that kind of stuff, folks who aren't familiar with you, give us just a little bit of your backstory.
Backstory with me, I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. My father was a pastor, so I'm a PK, Pentecostal church, growing up in the inner city of St. Louis, Missouri. So that's where we get our start. And my father was a musician. My mother was a songwriter. So I was just born into ministry, music, and all things. And so started there and, you know, matriculated through that, grew up, went to college, all the different things, got married and moved to Dallas, Texas in 2005.
Okay.
Incredible, like, transition, left everything to go to Dallas with no real plan. Just like,
Seems like a lot of people go to Dallas with no real plan.
that's real.
Yeah, Tim's story
Yeah,
is
that's
kind
true.
of
That's
similar.
real.
Like, oh, wait, I was in Dallas, man.
It was like I went to Dallas, like, literally, like, off of word. God said I went to my noonday prayer. I would go to this church, and I would pray every day at my lunchtime. And one day I just heard the Holy Spirit say so clearly, move to Texas, move to Dallas.
This is one of the new pieces from the He is Him collection, Jesus the King. When you wear this shirt, you do two things. One, you remind yourself in your life who the King is when you put this thing on. Two, you represent who the King is when you go out in public. So get ready for the He is Him collection, available this Friday to Sunday only.
And here's the funny, confirmation. Like, a day or two later, I wake up, my wife and I wake up. She says, I had a dream last night that we moved to Dallas. I didn't want to move to Dallas. So I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, that's nice. And I never said anything because I didn't want to talk about it. But eventually I got the picture. I got it. We moved to Dallas. And like, literally, like 2 months after I got there, I got to 2005. By end of January, I was working on an album with Fred Hammond.
Wow.
Because he just moved there that same year.
Wow. Shout out Uncle Fred.
Shout out. You know,
Wow.
So once I connected with Fred, I was locked in.
Which Fred album did you work on?
So the first album we did was Free to Worship at Potter's House. It was a live album.
Okay.
And it's kind of live studio mix up.
Sure. Yeah,
And,
a lot of stuff like that.
a lot of stuff like
hybrid now.
But I was just listening to that record like the other day. Like, that's a great record.
Yeah.
That was, as a matter of fact, I think that was his first Grammy. Was that album.
Wow.
He just moved to Texas.
Really?
Yeah. After all that music.
He didn't get a Grammy for Pages of Life.
You would think. Listen, we need to retroactively give him like
Yes, we
Grammys
do. Yes,
for
we
all
do.
that work.
The classics.
Absolutely. And so that I started with him then, and I locked in with him for, 9 years or so, and traveled with him, wrote with him. He opened up so many doors, taught me so much, learned to engineer, learned to do all the different things that helped me grow into a producer and a songwriter and all these other things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that led into other relationships as well, with like Kurt Franklin and Marvin and Tamala Man, and all kind of stuff that I got to do that was just amazing opportunities. And so while I'm doing all that, like, that's my like industry life. So
Is being Fred Hammond's right-hand man, backup singer, co-singer?
Yeah,
what was your actual role with him?
So I did several things. So I went full time with him eventually. The first year I was just a background singer, but eventually he hired me on full time, and I started out as assistant general manager, which is like a catch-all title for you do everything.
You do everything, man.
Everything.
Road manager, general manager, everything.
You name it. Everything from producing, writing, running sessions, finding singers, doing product, shipping product, managing product live, going out. Like, I was just telling your guy, I was like, we used to go, one of the first times I came to San Diego, we were doing this huge fair concert. And
What year was this?
This was like, you have to remember this, because this was like maybe 2008.
Bro, I was there.
You were there?
I was in the crowd, and it was at the San Diego Fair, which
Yes.
is actually happening right now.
Yes.
On Gospel Night. I actually played on a different stage earlier in the day.
What?
And I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when I met Fred, I brought this up to him, and he didn't really remember. The electric slide broke out. And I'm like the one white kid in the middle of the jam, nailing the electric slide.
Yes.
Because the electric slide is weird, because it's like a 10 count, like the loop around. It's a weird loop around.
Yes.
But I remember nailing it, and I wanted to meet Fred so bad that I didn't get to meet him that day. But y'all killed it.
Oh no.
Y'all killed it.
No,
That was a great show.
That was awesome. And we went, I don't know if you ran into us, but we were out in the park.
No, I didn't.
With cameras.
No.
With a team. And I was doing like a like man on the street.
Yeah.
Randomly walking up to people. And I used to be really goofy. I'm still goofy.
Yeah.
But I used to really be goofy. And so, you know, Fred, we had a lot of fun with that. Creating content, you know, back in the day.
Why is Fred like, when I met him, why is Fred like the gospel Godfather? Like, he's intimidating, man. You go in there and you gotta like talk to the underboss.
Yeah.
And talk to the other underboss, and then they kind of usher you into the studio. And Fred there cooking on the like. It was a moment.
Yes.
Meeting Fred was a moment, but he definitely got like Godfather energies.
You know, okay, so that's funny that you say that. Like, Fred is so chill. And you know, he's got a team. Like, he's got his brother, like Ray. People don't know, like he's got two brothers, Dave, Ray. Like, his brothers work with him. It's all family around him. And Fred, much like you, he is a very hard worker. If you want to know where Fred is right now, he's probably on the phone in a meeting or in the studio or on the road or working on some new idea, right? So Fred is always that way. So he's always in the studio. And so, you know, he's got his team around him and everything. The first time I met him at Daystar. He invited me to his house. I come into his house. They're working. They're working on a project. So somebody opens the door to let me in. And it was like Godfather, because he was sitting in this chair. It was like zebra print. It was it was a beautiful chair. And the folks who know him, they know what this chair looks like. It's a beautiful chair. And it's like the lights are dim and everybody's sitting around. It's like, sing something. Right? And I sang like "'Tis So Sweet" of him. And I was so nervous. When I finished, all he said was, "Sweet."
Just as the single syllable responses.
That was it.
That's
and then
amazing.
He went upstairs, and then he got someone to tell me, "Hey, go upstairs. Fred wants to talk to you."
Yeah.
Went upstairs, like, "Hey, man, you want to roll?"
That's dope.
I was like, "Yeah,
That's dope.
Absolutely."
And so you're kind of wearing multiple hats with him.
Yeah.
And then how long were you with Fred?
About 9
years.
9 years, yeah.
Yeah. And then so what years were these?
So this is 2006.
2006
to like 2014.
Oh wow, okay. So this, this is 2014's, what is that? That's 9 years ago.
Yeah.
2014 seems recent though.
It
almost.
does. And I think the pandemic has just condensed time a little bit. And it also means I think we're getting old. Like, it's like it was just yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I was on a rotary phone. But it's like things have changed, and they've changed quickly. That's how it feels now. But man, that was probably it was the most challenging time, because I was getting started.
Yeah.
Right. I was coming out of a small town into a big city, into a major global ministry, and I had no idea. I learned everything in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
So there's two things happening. I'm learning quickly, but also I'm discovering that I had more potential than I realized. So all these things are happening. I didn't know I was ready for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was in a situation, and it called for it. Fred called for it. And there were so many moments he was like, "Hey, I want you to do this." I'm like, "I've never done that." Well, you're doing it today. And you get thrown in, and you just go for it.
This is one of the new pieces from the He is Him collection, Jesus the King. When you wear this shirt, you do two things. One, you remind yourself in your life who the King is when you put this thing on. Two, you represent who the King is when you go out in public. So get ready for the He is Him collection, available this Friday to Sunday only.